What's up guys, long overdue talk and drive in a Formula Vee from Reiza Studios, coming up as a free downloadable content car for Game StockCar Extreme at some point in the nearish future at Buenos Aires, a new track which is quite lovely, fits the car quite well with its Mickey Mouse character and this sort of, let's just call it not a turbo F1 car, and driving a bit, talking a bit, trying to explain something about the car and its oddities and its charm. I'm of course sporting the sim steering force feedback system, my own Heusinkveld engineering pro pedals. The pro pedals fit this car quite well because it's not an extreme car such as the turbo old Formula 1 cars where you sort of have to press with all your might just to get something going. Running 27-inch screens. All details are pretty high, although I have to turn the shadows down because I'm running a pretty old system and I want 120 frames per second, just the best, the smoothest. So everything is high except the shadows, which are set at a medium level, but still looks very, very clean and nice. But at some point in the future, when you'll try it and you got a faster PC, or you're not running treble screen, or you think you just want 60 frames per second, then it'll look even better. So Formula Vee is what's Formula Vee? Well, let's suppose you have a racing car and you turn up at a race weekend, and if you have a sort of an advanced racing car, they will send you home because they are not welcomed. What you're running is pre-World War II suspension technology and VW Beetle basically. Suspension is from the Beetle more or less, the engine and gearbox are from a Beetle, so you get a 4-speed gearbox made with open differential mated to a air-cooled engine with a lot of power. Okay, no, I forgot exactly what power it has, but it's not a lot. It's got a nice torque band though, because the torque is fairly low down, and the gears are also from the street car. Yeah, the brakes probably as well, although that was just trying it, keeping it a bit on the late side there. So your gear ratios aren't very suited for the racetrack, and effectively you run a 2-speed because it's all about 3rd and 4th gear and keeping your momentum, which I didn't do. See, this is a slow corner. I'll try 2nd gear. Before you know it, you're just at the high revs where there's no power anymore. So 3rd gear is your low gear. It's a bit like some of the old arcade games. Low and high gear, it's effectively how you can treat this. But beware, even though it hasn't got a lot of power, it's not arcade in any way. It's a tricky little thing for reasons mostly to do with its pre-World War II technology. So it's easy to drive, difficult to drive fast, but it's a lot of fun at the same time. The Formula Vee regulations, they vary a bit from country to country. But effectively it's, like I said, VW Beetle suspension. At the front there are 2 sort of beams running from left to right, and then on each end of the beam is sort of a trailing arm and so you get an independent suspension, which is actually the same as they used in the 1930s on the Auto Union cars. But it's not ideal, especially if you would have a lot of weight or grip. It's not a very stable suspension for that. But it's independent. Hi. That was a bit tricky. So that's all right-ish, but you also run the standard springs on it, which aren't very stiff, of course. But it's independent suspension, and you can tune it a lot, so the camber is pretty much difficult to adjust. But hey, it's okay, you can kind of live with that. But at the back we got a swing axle, also seen in the Auto Union monster cars of the 30s. It's a bit like a baby Auto Union, this, but swing axles are independently sprung, so it's independent suspension, but in the worst possible way. And you will see some arm gestures now as I try to explain what this swing axle is. So at the back in the center you have the differential, and then out comes the drive shaft like this, but it's pivoting here, and then the wheel is attached, but it's rigidly attached. So let's just pause this for a moment. The birds, I hear the birds. So this swing axle, it's basically a swing axle, it swings. The tire is upright here, and then if the suspension moves up, you get negative camber. But if the suspension moves down, as you're going over a hump or you're braking, you get positive camber. So the rate of camber change is horrible. You don't want that really. Especially on road cars. There was an American car which ended up being featured in a book, Unsafe at Any Speed. I forgot the author, but anyway. Which had a rear-engined car with one of those swing axle suspensions, and it would get involved in horrible crashes, killing innocent civilians. So the swing axle is independent, but in pretty much all ways horrible. Another reason it's horrible is that the roll center is high, and roll centers are something you don't have to understand completely, but let's just say that the higher your roll center is, the more that suspension acts at that side if you have a like you have a stiff anti-roll bar. So at the back you don't tend to see, or you don't tend to want, a stiff anti-roll bar. Most racing cars are set up the opposite, with a stiff front anti-roll systems, more roll stiffness on the front and then not a lot on the back, so you get a stable car that puts the power down well. But this is the opposite. And the front suspension has the roll center at the ground level, basically. So the suspension has its part in making the chassis oversteery. And how do they work around this? Most of the time you'll see them running with a pretty low rear end. Oh, losing it almost. Partly just to lower the car, but also has the benefit of creating the negative camber, because if you lower the car you get a negative camber like that, so that helps more with generating a bit more cornering grip, and it also lowers the roll center, which is a good thing to have on such a car. But it's a little odd, because most of the time you see racing cars with a lot of negative camber at the front and not a lot of it on the back. So the suspension is a bit ancient, and even though I think the rules allow it, there is no Z or Z bar in the Brazilian series, from as far as we know. And a Z-bar is allowed in some countries on Formula Vee, which takes some of the problems away of that rear suspension. It's sometimes they call it a zero roll suspension, but it's actually a a zero roll stiffness kinda suspension, which is still not entirely true. But basically a Z-bar makes the rear act as just having a third spring. If you're aware of Formula 1 or other cars, sometimes they have a third spring, which only compresses when both the rear tires go up or down at the same time. So when you in a corner the car rolls, and they're not at the same position. So when you're braking, they go up or they go down, or accelerating braking. That's when vertically the vertical motions are supported by the third spring, and also by the Z or Z bar on the Formula Vee cars. But in cornering, that spring does nothing. So there is an option on some of the cars in Formula Vee. Only ABS was an option to install the Z-bar, but these don't have it, and that means you just have two regular springs, one on each corner at the back, but they also add roll stiffness. So they add to that rear anti-roll bar oversteery feeling. So when you add it all up, you end up with a car, a lot of negative camber at the back, not a lot at the front, fairly stiff in roll at the back, countered a little bit by an anti-roll bar on the front, but it's interesting. So you get plenty of oversteer if you induce it. And just not a lot of power to go with it, but the ancient nature of the other parts make it just a whole bunch of fun to drive. I'm gonna do a quick time check. Okay, still some time left. I may actually do a lap. So a lot very interesting to drive, but tricky under braking as you lose rear camber. It gets quite darty if you're not careful on the braking. Or if you lift off too suddenly, come off the brakes too soon as you turn in. It's very easy to unsettle the back. Plus, if you run the tires at a negative camber, which the rears are, they lose kind of more, they have a bit more cornering grip, maximum, but it also drops off faster. So if the rear starts to slide more, you lose that extra grip. So once the back starts to slide, it's a little worse than some other cars. Because camber adds extra grip, but not if you start to slide a lot. So the back end is lively, the front end is soft, the whole car is fairly soft and small and nimble, running on street tires, so there's not a lot of grip, and the tires want a bit of slip angle as well. And you see they have excellent grip in the dirt. Onto this chicane. Early on the power is what you would ideally have. But not so that you end up on the grass. So you have to be smooth, but it's not a car with its basic characteristics that is easy to drive smoothly. It's easy to overdrive and have a lot of fun and go sideways everywhere, but then you lose time. And you don't want to do what I just did, just go on the throttle and then realize that you were too early. You have to come off the throttle again. And here I just keep it in third gear. It's fairly fast, sort of slightly downhill chicane fast transition thing. This one tightens and I want to slow it down basically just by, well, not by that. Because I went just a little over the limit there, and a little bit over the limit creates a big problem, not that it's hard to catch, but of course I've lost a lot of time there. A little darty on the braking. Too early on the throttle again. If Jackie Stewart would watch, he would say, bad, bad, bad. It doesn't fit my technique because I tend to overdrive even the cars that you really, really shouldn't overdrive. So when I get this, it's like a toy. Dorifto! Okay, toy, yes. And I sometimes say just show off for YouTube's sake, but I can't do anything better. I'm struggling to slow it down properly and to corner it properly and to accelerate it properly. But let's see what we can do in a couple of laps. I have a desperate wish to not make a fool out of myself as much as I'm currently doing. Bad. Late. Leaving it too late. There were signs there. I hope you saw the signs. Yeah, not done a lot of driving lately. Yeah, there he goes again with his excuses. Ooh, 2000s. This'll be it. Woohoo. Somewhat pleased. Slow it down. Still a lot of excess messiness. Signs. I always like signs of a good lap. So there might be just, you know, that's much talent somewhere. Just a little late. A lot of oversteer. Scrubbing the speed off there. See, the car moves around quite a bit. Stutter. Bad line. That wasn't so good. That was a decent split. Just my first laps in a long time. Let go of the brake too soon. So I'm getting carried away now and forgetting to talk. Must be a good sign of the fun and drivability of the car. Oh, I lost it all there. Must get it back in the first corner. Cocked it up. Scrubbing. Apexing? Not really, no. I did gain some time. Speaking of time, how much is left? Curva Granda the other way. That was alright. That isn't. Fun though. Will I ever take this corner properly? I don't think so. 3 minutes left. Can do one more lap. Probably. Just about. There's potential though for a good lap. If he just learns how to drive first. Oh, what a hoot, man! Screw driving! Let's go quickly. Okay, just about one more lap remaining. Thanks for watching. See you later. Sorry for the lack of videos. Too busy, pedals, office, all that stuff. Great stuff. But not a lot of sim racing. Boo. Too much. Okay. Slow. Showing off, going wrong. So again guys, sorry for not being here very often lately. And I realize this doesn't make up for it. But this car is a lot of fun and I think you've seen some clues about that here. Mortals can enjoy this. But it still takes an alien to be very, very fast in it. And you can have a lot of sidewaysness if you wish. But you have to be on your toes. Thanks for watching. And some people say thanks for watching and subscribing, but you don't know if they subscribed. I don't care if people subscribe. I hope they like the video. I should go on a racing course. Let's do that. Bye bye guys. See you later. Oh, so slow, so slow.